Hey pilots, this is Craig again with Paraglider Service USA. And today we're going to go over the Excel spreadsheets that are used by PHI paragliders and Nova paragliders. They've been designed by Ralph Ants, a mathematical engineer. He's got these things down to an exact science. It's pretty amazing. After you've done your adjustments, you won't even have to remeasure your glider. And if you do, you'll see that he's right and what his selections are. So let's start with the basics. This video is going to be on the basics for those Excel spreadsheets. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and download them. And so what I'll do is actually I'll go to I have a link for all the different manufacturers and where to go to get their spreadsheets. And so over here at PHI Paragliders, I'll hit their Google Drive. And in order to get access to this, all you got to do is send, PHI on their contact form on the website and just ask them for the link, and they'll provide that to you. And so on this link, this is what pops up: the line plans and check sheets. And line plans are actually not the line maps of each line, but well, they do include that. But what they more importantly are the individual line data specifications, the line types, line lengths, in relationship to each line reference code that's on the line maps. And then there's check sheets here. So I'll open the check sheets. In this case, let's say we want to do trim tuning for the Maestro 2. Double click that. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Let's back up. I want to download it. So I'll go over here, because if you do double click it like I did, it'll just view it. You won't be able to. But if I hit the download button over here, it'll download it to your download file box, and there it is. So see, this is an open file. Now if I open it, you won't be able to use it. The macros are going to be blocked. So what you want to do is go to your computer's file manager, go to downloads, the file that says downloads. You'll see it there. Right click it, go to properties, and then down here it says unblock. So this file came from another computer and it might be blocked to help protect this computer. Hit unblock and then hit OK. And that way, when you open it, the macros will work. Okay? So that's some of the basics on that aspect. So I already have them all open. So let's go to one here. This one here, I have a Nova Mentor 5. Now, you're not going to be able to download the Nova check sheets because you have to be an official Nova Tech Center like myself in order to do that. But they all work the same. This is just an example. I have some other ones that are from PHI as well that you'll have access to. But real quickly here, let's go over this spreadsheet. As you scroll down on this one worksheet, there's 3 worksheets in trim and evaluation. This is the last worksheet. You can see right here, it's copyrighted by Ralph Ants. You can't steal this information. It's this thing's, you can't change it. There's a lot of fields here you cannot operate. You can't see the codes or nothing. It's all proprietary. But you can utilize it for its purpose of trim tuning this one specific glider. So let's go to the end worksheet. This is the main worksheet where you do all the entries. And when you first open it, it's going to be all in German. Right now I've already changed it, but you can see there's 2 flags here. Hit the if you're English speaking like I am, you just hit the British flag there, and everything will turn to English for the most part. Some words will still stay in German, but the ones that for the headings of each of the fields will change to English. And then you go ahead, your make and model will be already there, but you select the size. In this case, it's a medium. It's already been selected, and it'll populate it right there. Then you put the serial number in. You'll go ahead and put your production, and then the check center will populate once I fill in that on the other page. And I'll put in the Paraglider Service USA, and it'll put that in appropriately. And then here you can put the client's name, their address, and then the check. There's 3 different types of check. There's partial, 1 year and 2 year for Nova. And the partial, when you hit that one, you can select what individual checks you're doing. The NTT is the Nova Trim Tuning, and the other ones are self-explanatory. Well, maybe that's your sailcloth strength test. And then 1 year is going to include them all, and 2 years is going to include them all as well. Well, actually, 1 year is usually just trim tuning, but maybe the client wants them all. Or you just want trim tuning, you're just going to do that. You want trim tuning and porosity, you'll do that. And then what it does is it activates those portions of this worksheet. And so we're going to go 2 year on this. Okay, we'll scroll down to the next section, give you an idea of this. This is how the glider It was delivered to you. This is a Malian loop table. Here's a Malian loop legends on the outside here. We got single loop, which is designated as SL, double loop as DL. Anchor stitch was designated at AS. For English people like me, it's actually the girth hitch, not. And then the anchor stitch plus, which is the girth hitch plus a loop. Nova gliders will all come all double loop from the factory, so all these will be saying double loop if it hadn't been trimmed beforehand. This glider was trimmed beforehand, so from the year before. So I went in and manually input what those changes were. So the ones in red are the ones that I found on this glider. You can see how the rows are. This is A row is the top one here, and this is the right side of the wing and the left side of the wing. The line groups 1, 2, and 3 on the right, and line groups 1, 2, 3 on the left. And the outside here are the stabilos. And so these, when they are factory default, haven't been changed, hasn't been serviced, you're doing the first service on the glider, the colors will match the letter designation of the row. So the A rows these will all be beige. See, the DLs are factory, and the B row, the factory ones, are the DLs that haven't been changed yet, and the C row, the green ones you see, haven't been changed yet. Those are the factory ones for those positions there, and the ones that are in red, obviously the ones I changed. And these stabilo ones, if those were double loops, then that actually show. Watch, well, I'll do a double loop there, and it should go right to pink. See how it goes to pink and goes back because it hasn't. That just means it hasn't been changed. But we'll go ahead and put it what we found the glider at, and then we go on to the next section. That's delivered condition, porosity. So if we're doing porosity on this glider, which I did, I went ahead and put those values in. This is the 5 spots on the top sail. We got the center of the wing, top sail, about 20 to 30 millimeters back from the leading edge, where beyond just past the arc where there's no seams. Pick a spot and go ahead and do your porosity. If the centermost spot is greater than 200 seconds, you don't have to do the other spots. It's passing. If it's less than 200, then you'll do all 5 spots. And the spot to the right will be 5 cells over, and the next one will be 10 cells over. And the same thing when you go to the left side. It'll be 5 cells over from the center one, and then 5 more for the outside one. And go ahead and put your information there. So being this was greater than 200, these will go okay automatically. And if it's less than 200, then they'll be blank for you to fill in what your readings were. Line straighten test. Okay, here it's not necessary on the first 2-year check because the main lines on this glider were a sheathed Dyneema, which doesn't lose its strake like Aramid. So it's going to be required on the second check, second 100-hour check. But if you were to fill this out, you have to just select the line that you're going to be strengthening. It's usually the innermost A line, main, and mid will do. And here, so we'll select the A line. We'll say it's the main is level 1, level 2. Well, actually, this is the designation of the line itself, and this should be the. I'm not sure why this is not populating right, but anyhow, it's picking the right one. This is the lower main line, innermost lower A line, PPS L191. So when that wasn't selected, that goes away. So I selected A, and this was blank, and it had nothing there. Then I went ahead and picked A1. And then it's PPS L191 is made by Lyros, and the length is 50 millimeters. Line strength test is necessary. No, because it's the first 2-year check, so it'll say no. But let's say it was, the second check, then it would say yes there automatically. And then over here, you select the line again, A1, and then the measurement, you'll actually measure the existing line to see what the difference is, and then then you put the braking strength there, and it'll tell you whether it's passing or not. And you do the same thing for the midline, and then the cop cascades. You'll just select what you want. You got to put the line reference code if it's the B row, but you want to do the most stressed lines. So this would be AM1, and then if you select that, it'll tell you right side and 1, and then it'll tell you what line it is. It's the unsheathed Airman line 8000 series, 70 kilogram, and length is 23, 29 millimeters, so forth. Okay, next section, visual check. So here we do the visual check on the 100-hour check. These are all going to be not okay when you first come here, and what I did is I realized that when I checked them that they all were okay. So instead of me having to manually click each and every one, there is a little secret button here in between the profiles and cross ports and risers, right in between these two. Watch my cursor change to a hand. See? Now when it's in that thing, it goes away, go back to the hand, and then when you click it, when it's in that icon hand, all of them go to OK. That way you don't have to individually. That's called the Chiefs button. And then let's go down the next section. This is the trim tuning results on the mounting loops. After you've made your adjustments, you can't manually select and choose them right here. You'll do that on the evaluation worksheet, and it'll populate over here accordingly. And then the next one down below is the cell cost strength test, betsometer. And then if you select, if it was less than 3 grams, it's going to be not okay, and if it's more. Now Nova has a setup so that when the glider is over 130 kilograms maximum overall weight, this will go to 6 grams. And when it's less than that, it's at 3. Other gliders will be 6 on all of them. But if it was less than 3, it's going to say not okay, and if it's more, it's going to be okay. Now let's go to the next worksheet. This is the trim worksheet, and this is where you do your input for your line measurements. You can do it manually, or you can do it laser. You set your cursor, if you see here it says AR1, AR2, these are all the line reference codes. You can blow that up so you can see it from your laptop, and put your cursor here in the column B that's affiliated with that. You start right here in column B2, put it there, and then once you've done your laser measurement, your laser on your laser device, connected Bluetooth to your computer, will actually go down to the next cell, and then the screen will move automatically to there, and then you'll know where you're at. So if you're talking to somebody and you forget where you're at, just look up at your laptop and say, oh, I'm at AR2. And then once you've made that measurement, it'll automatically go to here, and the screen will actually move for you, and it'll be there. And that way you can see at a glance where, keep a tally of where you're at for your measurements. And then over here, the LIM is the line measuring from the factory, the limbs. Those are all the factory spec measurements. Don't mess with that. Don't touch that. You don't want to change those numbers. It'll screw everything up. So just stay with your column here. You can cut and paste, or you can type in your number manually. You just hit manual input with or without breaks, and if you're not going to do breaks, hit without, and then it'll delete that area so they can calculate everything without having that portion fail. But if you're going to do the breaks, you don't. You just hit that and don't worry about it. Don't mess with the without or only. And as you put in all your measurements, they're going to show up here, and then you go all the way to the bottom. This is the AR3 right, A9 right, B3 right, so on forth, and then it'll keep going down, then it'll go to the left side of the glider. And we'll go all the way down. Hit the bottom here. Come on, Betsy. Okay, it's the F sub brakes. Put on the brake, so I got all the measurements in. You see them there. I've already done this, measured this glider, and then the evaluation button. You hit that button, it's going to go blinkety blink blink, and it's going to switch over to the evaluation worksheet, and then it's going to spit out the results here. Now let me see this all button. That means all back. This is before this is showing all the adjustments and how everything's green and passing. These are automatic buttons. You can't select OK and make it a green. It does it when you've selected the right adjustments. So let's go all back. Now what's failed? So I got all green, line length wise, total length, length of brakes, symmetry, but the pitch. See the caution right here, the yellow placard? The pitch is off. So we got to make. So over here's the tolerances that this thing is evaluating at. The main line's plus or minus 10 millimeters. Total length tolerance is plus or minus 50 millimeters. That's the line set compared to factory length. So lines for the most part shrink, and unless this glider's towed up often, they'll stretch a tiny bit. But as time wears on, they all eventually shrink. And when they get beyond 50 millimeters, then it's time for a new line set, if you have life left in other portions of your glider, meaning porosity, cell cost strength, and whatnot. Steering lines are plus or minus 25 millimeters, so that's going to be your brake lines and your tip steering lines on the paramotors. Symmetry tolerance plus or minus 10 millimeters. Pitch brake and pitch speed, that's pitch break is +4, pitch speed is -4, and that's a relationship of comparing these lines to their counterparts in the rows. So the A row, A1 compared to B1, and then C1 compared to B1, and D1 compared to B1, the same thing in every line that way, and every line group that way. We're comparing the rows. Between the rows, the pitch can't be more than ±4 millimeters in comparison to the B row, okay? That's where we're off here. If we scroll, this is all the individual line lengths, the variances from spec, -3, 2, +2, -6, so on and so forth. Those are the variances for each of these individual lines on the right side of the wing and left side of the wing. You know, the beiges things all A row, the yellows are all the B rows, green's the C rows, and D's blue, but because it's combined with the C row, they've made it green because the C row is where the malleon loops, and that's where the changes occur for both the C and D row. So that's why it's not blue, and the gray is the brakes here. And if there was numbers out of whack, out of tolerance, they'd be red. You scroll down to line group variance charts, so now we got the line groups. So each of these individuals are grouped at the canopy, at the sailcloth itself. So line group 1 on the right, line group 2 on the right, line group 3 on the right, same thing on the opposite side, 1, 2, 3 on the left, and then the pink are the stabilo lines. Line group 4 is what I call those. You'll see that line group here on both sides, the left and right side, they have 6 lines. And the average of those results are what's put on these charts here. So you got 2 line group variance charts here. This is the real values, and this is the same one, different perspective with the B row calibrated for 0. It's just showing a different perspective. Just focus on the real values, and where the red numbers are, we need to make those right. So we need to make some changes there. Then over here on the left is the brake results. We're showing that they need to be lengthened 25 millimeters, 24 millimeters. And if you didn't, this is how the results were. And then I'm just clicking, yes, I made that change. I extended them. I had enough tail on the brake toggle in order to extend them 24 millimeters on both sides. So I clicked yes, and now it's passing. Now we go down to how to make the changes here. See, here's the red numbers that I need to make right. They need to be the color affiliated with their row, and they're not. So that means they're off pitch, and that's why this is saying pitch might be wrong. Sometimes that'll be red when it's further off. These are off just a tiny bit, but enough to say it's not passing. So a lot of hobbyist trim tuners out there do not evaluate pitch compared to the B row. And that's what Nova and PHI does here on their spreadsheets. And so that's, they make these gliders really sweet when you're done and over. I mean, this thing is going to be trimmed within ±5 millimeters in a line group perspective, and which is pretty amazing. I've even gotten gliders down to ±3 millimeters just with the line group averages, variances. It's just incredible how sweet this thing is. So I mean, most hobbyist trimmers wouldn't even look at the pitch, so this would be passing in their eyes. You look at this individual line lengths, there's nothing beyond -10 or beyond +10. But if you got +10 on the A row and you got -10 on the B row and +10 on the C row, I mean, there's a 20 millimeter difference between the rows here, and it would be still considered passing. That's why PHI and Nova take it a step further, or I should say Ralph Ants takes it a step further and evaluates the pitch between the rows cannot be no more than what? ±4 millimeters. So now we're talking perfection here. Okay, let's go down and make these changes real quick. Okay, how am I going to make these right? Well, this is line group C. Here's C2 on the right is 7. It's 7 millimeters away from the B row, which is at 0, and the D row is 6 millimeters away. I make a change on C, it's going to change the D because it's connected. The C and D rows are connected. Remember up here, they're green together. So let's make a change here. C2, these tables down here, the exact same groups. The 0 is depicting where the malleon loops are at now. Usually the 0 is always in this position right here, the second one over on all these tables. But because they've been pre-adjusted from a previous trim, the 0 reference point has been moved over. But anyhow, let me make the changes here real quick and make this glider passing. So just an example here on this C2 on the right, I'll make that -3. See the numbers change? So now it's 4 and 3, 3 and 2 on that C2 on the right. And if I make it -10, it's too much, so I'll go back to -3, okay? And then I'll make the same change on the left side, C2, I'll go ahead and make that -7, which is anchor stitch plus, because it was already at anchor stitch. And then, actually I want, yeah, anchor stitch. Let's make an anchor and over here I'm going to make this, that's fine. If I make that too much, yeah, that's too much. So let's go over here. I need to make, let's fix this D1. I'm going to make this an anchor stitch. Sometimes you have to adjust other ones to get everything in sync. So keep that in mind. It just takes practice. That's an anchor stitch plus. And then I'm going to make anchor stitch. I'll make this a DL there. And C2, still not quite right. There we go. Now we got it right. Anchor stitch plus. Yeah, okay, that's why. So I still got D1 not right. So that's on the left. There we go. Now we're good. And that's the most we're going to get out of this. So we got the A row, B row, C row. So I bet we're passing right now because this D rows doesn't carry any weight on those lines. They're kind of stabilizers, and they're not that far off. From 6 and 1, we're 5 millimeters off instead of 4. And over here, we're 5 millimeters too. So it's 5 millimeters difference from the B row. It's 1 millimeter off. I bet we're passing. Ding, we're passing. Yeah, great got sport. So that's how we do it, folks. Every glider's going to be a little bit different. Just thought I'd give you an idea, basic idea on how these work. I have some more advanced features I can show you on this later. And a real quick one, you know, every glider shrinks, the line shrinks. So how do you know how much shrinkage has taken place on it? The spreadsheet does it automatically. On my own spreadsheets, when I'm doing other brands, I'll have to input and re-zero it myself because your harness is getting closer and closer to the canopy, and the most it can be close, it can be is 50 millimeters, the tolerance. So when my line set has shrunken on average of 50 millimeters, 51, 52, 53, you know, then it's going to be beyond this tolerance level here. It's just time for a new line set. If you have life left, the remaining portions of the guide are like the porosity, sail cloth strength, and line strength. But let's say you have a lot of life left, then you just go ahead and buy another line set, and then we'll get things back in sync from a trim perspective. But what is this glider's average shrinkage? The only way to know, because it's not telling us, it's behind the scenes, is there's a little code here. We'll go equals AQ 28 over here, and then I'll hit enter. And where'd my screen go? I didn't like that. Enter. Enter. There we go. Okay. Must have I hit the down arrow. So it's 9.128. So there's an average shrinkage of 9.128 millimeters throughout. So it added that amount, 9.128, to every number here to re-zero the glider. New reference point. And I also manually corrected 2 more. Up here it says manual TRP, which is the tearing reference point. It was 0 originally. And you can see I had 2 numbers in here that were beyond 10 millimeters. One was at 10 millimeters and the other was 1 over. And I want those to go away. I want all the colors here. So what I did is I just went up here and I changed every number. You know, it's already at 9.128 in addition to add it to the shrinkage, and I've made a 2 up here on the TRP, added 2 more, so now it's going to be 11.128. I've added to every numbers, and I've done that, and now we have no more red numbers, a new reference point, and there she be. She's passing green colors all the way throughout. And you can take here's the graphics. You can blow that up by just clicking on it and see what we're at. This is the line groups. The highest number of the line group and the lowest number of the line group are each of these bars. The shorter the bars, the better the trim. I mean, we're way less than plus or minus 10 millimeters. I mean, the highest one is +6 and the lowest is -3. So it's, you know, -3 to +6 millimeters is the range of our tolerances here, which is pretty darn good. I don't like the 6 over here. I like to get that more in balance here. And because it's a D row and I can't change it, I mean, if I go to the next melting loop, it's going to be too short. So if I go over here, it's on the, the left side here. If I added a -7, the next loop on that, it's going to be, make the D row, but the C row is going to be off compared to the B row. It's going to be at 5. So I'd rather have the C right and the D off. So I'm going to put that back to 0. Another way to correct that is I can just go into the to the line plan, and the line that branches off to that D line group, which is in D3, is just right here. I can actually put a line core insert in that just to shorten that one segment and make that thing right. So that's what I'm going to do on this particular glider. But anyhow, folks, there's a lot of variations, little things that happen here. I'll tell you all the advanced features in a subsequent videotape. Have a good day.